It was a Tuesday. They always pick Tuesdays to bury you. Quiet. Forgettable. The conference room was full. No one would meet my eyes. Not even her. My wife sat 3 chairs down, scrolling her phone like it wasn't happening. Across the table, her sister cleared her throat. "We're restructuring," she said. We. Interesting word. I stared at the termination contract. Simple. Cold. Standard. And then I saw it. Clause 17B. All company-sponsored licenses, authorizations, and certifications will be invalid upon termination. They thought that clause stripped me of something. They didn't realize it stripped the company of everything. I closed the folder, smiled, and signed. It started 6 months ago. Little shifts. My wife came home late from strategy dinners she never used to attend. Her phone was suddenly face down. Her laugh turned from shared to secret. She stopped touching me the way people do when they want to be seen. Her father, the CEO, began avoiding direct meetings. I'd built the operations side from the ground up, but suddenly I was left off invites. Decisions happened around me, not through me. Then came her sister. Bright smile, empty resume. The family called it a legacy move. I called it a red flag stitched in gold thread. I watched the chessboard reshape itself. My seat, slowly, methodically, being edged out. And still, I said nothing. Because sometimes silence is strategy. Sometimes you let the knife dig deep, so they don't notice it's in their own back. I started gathering contracts, email trails, meeting minutes, the original incorporation docs they never read. They were playing politics. I was playing architecture. You see, the firm's operational certifications, environmental, technical, financial compliance, weren't in their names. They were in mine. I'd volunteered years ago when no one else wanted to take the required exams. 6 of them, 8 months, thousands in fees. They'd signed the clause without a second glance, happy to offload the burden. Now everything, from procurement pipelines to federal grants, rested on my personal validation. My signature didn't represent the company. It was the company. Without it, their permits were ornamental. And Clause 17B? It didn't just remove me. It removed them. I ran simulations, quietly triggered notifications to governing agencies, watched internal systems flag compliance errors, like dominoes lining up behind glass. All I had to do was breathe. A week after my termination, I showed up unannounced, casual, calm. Reception hesitated, then let me through. The boardroom was louder than usual. Stress does that to people. Licenses revoked, accounts frozen, auditors demanding clarity. Half the infrastructure was now non-compliant. Internal memos were leaking. Her sister looked like she hadn't slept. Her father looked like he knew. I placed a sealed envelope on the table. Inside, a copy of the compliance clause, highlighted, annotated. No accusations, just facts. Her sister flipped through the pages. Pale, then green. My wife stood in the corner, quiet, avoiding my gaze like it burned. Her father finally spoke. "You knew." I nodded once. She opened her mouth, but I'd already turned to leave. 2 days later, they begged for a meeting, not officially, privately. A quiet lunch at the country club they once said I wasn't polished enough to join. Her father offered me a drink. I declined. He apologized. She apologized. Even the sister looked like she wanted to dissolve. They asked me to consider temporarily reinstating my credentials, just until they could find a solution. I asked them one question. Do you remember why I signed the contracts under my name? They didn't, because they never paid attention. They just took. My wife reached across the table. "Let's fix this." I looked at her hand, then at the divorce papers I pulled from my briefcase. You already did. I watched the firm implode from a distance. Investors pulled. Employees fled. My wife's sister resigned 3 weeks later. Her father issued a statement about unforeseen structural challenges. No one mentioned me by name. They never do when they lose. I moved cities, opened a boutique consultancy, small, precise, profitable. I hire slow, fire slower. My clients sign every clause, every single one. As for her, she sent a letter last month. No return address, just one line. You knew the whole time. Yes, I did. That was the point. I don't burn bridges. I just make sure they only carry one name before I walk away.